Several years have passed since the New Republic emerged from the dissolved Galactic Empire, leaving the galaxy ripped apart into various hostile powers. Here, in the core territories held by this now New Republic, is the humble proprietor of a small trading operation, who hails from the not-so-humble mega shipyards of Kuat Drive Yards. Quad is a system known chiefly for its megastructure, a massive ring station made up of enough wharves and shipyards to supply a galaxy-spanning superpower with a hearty sum of vital spaceship production. It previously served as a major shipyard for the Imperials and their majestic space triangles, but under New Republic rule, it now largely produces many models and variants of the Mon Calamari ships made famous in the Rebellion. We start our journey with a modest bank account and a small variety of ships. Most important among these is a large-sized container wares transport, the TH-1. Our journey from clip-on ties to designer suits starts here with a very simple mantra: buy low, sell high. As I micromanage some good old-fashioned ware trading, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Star Wars Interworlds. X4 Foundations is the current installment of the long-running spaceship sim series X developed by German games company Egosoft. It is most notably an economic space sandbox with a fully functional economy and all the usual bells and whistles of these kinds of space sandbox titles. Our operation may seem small now, but someday we're going to be a big, grown-up, proper interstellar power, operating in a darn near real-time strategy-like fashion. Star Wars Interworlds is one of the best total conversion mods I've had the pleasure of playing, and not only does it go to amazing lengths to bring a familiar franchise into a spaceship sandbox environment with economics and galaxy-wide war, but it also finds the time to improve on some aspects of X4 itself. That being said, though, because it's a total conversion mod, it is not, strictly speaking, true to form for Star Wars. Like any total conversion mod, you make things work the best you can within the confines of the game you're modifying. Overall, though, it does an extremely good job of modifying X4 into Star Wars, so much so that nearly any complaint I could offer would be for X4 itself, and not SWY. Now, this challenge run is going to be broken up into roughly 3 different phases, with the first one being very simple. We need to make money. The galaxy is currently in a state of turmoil, and the New Republic, the NRL, are now at war with several factions. To their north and the west is the Galactic Empire, or at least what remains of them, engaged in a two-front conflict with the NRL. To the northeast, the Mandalorian Death Watch has coalesced into a proper military power and have begun all-out warfare with, well, most people. Meanwhile, down to the south, the Imperial Ascendancy, a collection of some Imperial Moffs and warlords who split off to make their own empire, as well as the Anawats, who are essentially just a vassal of the Ascendancy, are also embroiled in conflict with the New Republic. Because of our increasingly heavy association and trade with the New Republic, we'll become a bit linked at the hip diplomatically. Their enemies, unfortunately, will sort of become our enemies. After all, we are heavily feeding their war economy. And since the New Republic own Kuat Drive Yards, and we're a Kuat Drive Yards trader, we're in a way also kind of a vassal of theirs. The economic and industrial situation is ripe for opportunity, especially as the game balance is designed with player intervention in mind, allowing lots of space for you to trade and manufacture in order to fill gaps in the AI's economy. They will eventually expand and fill those gaps on their own in time, but for now, we have a lot of opportunities. After performing a string of highly profitable trades, we can finally start with our first real milestone, a solar power plant. We already started with a few station module blueprints, and among them is a solar panel. With this and a few million credits, we can convert the very energetic Kuat primary star into 250% energy cell production per panel. Suffice to say, that's a lot of free energy. Energy cells are a necessary product for just about every manufacturing process, as well as ship and station construction, so it's a lucrative business to get into with a very low startup cost, and that the Kuat system gives you a 250% bonus to energy cell production is really just the icing on the cake here. And as I would very soon and quickly come to learn, the New Republic really needed energy cells. In all of my time playing X4 and SWI, I don't think I've ever seen a faction so starved for energy cells, My solar power plant in Kuat was so profitable that I had to repeatedly expand it in order to meet the intense early game demand, which really didn't start to fall off until nearly 2 days into this run. From here, we move on to Ryonium. Ryonium and Ryonium cores are another fairly cheap manufacturing item. The neighboring dead-end system in Nemoidia is chock full of Ryonium rocks, which combined with the energy cells creates Ryonium cores. Ryonium cores are a critical component for producing large, extra large, and extra large ships. We get this station built, commission some mining ships to fill it up, and then enjoy continuous profits. A full load of Ryonium cores with the TH1 Hauler is about 2 to 3 million credits. This Ryonium station, and especially the extremely overperforming solar power plant, managed to balloon my earnings into making tens of millions of credits in relatively quick intervals. A really strong start. One thing I do want to state here is that when the game is played as intended, progression can be rather gradual. When I said days earlier, I very much meant it, as when I said trader, I meant, at least for the moment, trading. I enjoyed the occasional dalliance of combat against Mandalorian raiders, but otherwise most of my time at these early points of the game is spent managing traders, building stations, and planning future development, and just also a lot of waiting. Lots of waiting. But eventually, a need for combat will come, and with combat comes the need for a fleet. Kuat Drive Yards, owing to their previous relationship with the Galactic Empire, offers a number of useful, large-sized Imperial war triangles. And we're going to need 2 in particular, the Quasar 2, a small patrol carrier, and the beloved Victory 2, which is in most respects a miniature Imperial Star Destroyer. However, being that they're both also carriers of small fighter and bomber craft, we're going to need some of those too. Leveraging all of our income streams we've created thus far, I'm able to purchase several necessary station modules which we can use to manufacture shipbuilding components of our own. I establish a small all-in-one factory capable of jump-starting our ship construction and set it up with the necessary miners and traders for it to run. Now, wharves and shipyards both are very expensive as they represent a mid to late game method of making money. It's going to cost us a couple $100 million just for the blueprint alone, plus extra to buy the license to buy the blueprint from Kuat Drive Yards. We may be Kuat traders, but they're not going to give us freebies here. And on that note, we'll also need the license to purchase capital ships and capital ship equipment. In time, we are able to erect a small wharf for building small and medium ships. And with the addition of blueprints to create variants of TIE fighters, including the TIE Brute, which was purchased from Sionar Systems up on the Galactic Empire's space, along with the equipment necessary to outfit these, we have gained the ability to create a small fleet of fighters. By using a combination of wares we've purchased from the New Republic as well as wares we've produced ourselves, we can create a swarm of TIE fighters and TIE bombers to fill our Quasar 2 and Victory 2. At this point, we can look further afield into the Maw, which is an ICG space. The ICG are effectively the Confederacy from prequel Star Wars, allowing SWI to feature notable ships from that time period in an internal struggle against their Clone Wars era Republic counterparts fielded by the CSA to the northeast. This one won't really feature them in any substantial way, but for the prequels fans, just know that SWI does have Lucre Hulks and Venators. Inside of the Maw is a large ring station guarded by an ISD-2, the Void Keeper. And as I would be reminded, it also comes with a full complement of various models of TIE fighters. Initial attempts to combat the Void Keeper end somewhat poorly. So step 1 is going to be simple.
Incoming.
Oof.
Right. You're asking for it.
That could be your last mistake. Incoming missile.
Awaiting orders.
Danger.
We're hit.
That shot really didn't do much.
Taking.
Incoming all damage.
Hey, you stop firing? Awaiting orders.
Thank you. Preparing to dock.
I managed to keep my small fleet at range and allow my fighters to engage with theirs in an attempt to thin out the ISD-2's support.
Danger.
Unfortunately, because of an error on my part, My TIE bombers also take passes at the ISD-2 earlier than intended. The bombers weren't supposed to do that. They had already been launched before I had the opportunity to stop them. Frick. We're already half dead. And our shield is out. We haven't even gotten to fight the ISD yet.
Void Keeper.
Is he at least being severely damaged?
Danger.
Awaiting orders.
Incoming missile.
Damage is getting serious.
Okay, some of those bombs are hitting.
Incoming missile.
Also, this is an ISD-2. I thought it was an
Awaiting
ISD-1.
orders.
However, since we still haven't engaged capital to capital, I do manage to retreat back to Kessel, order a new swarm of brutes and bombers, and wait the agonizingly slow time for these hyperdriveless TIEs to make their way over. Once we fill back up again, we go back, swat down the Void Keeper's remaining forces, and then properly engage the mighty ISD-2 with bombing. This smaller number of bombers is not enough to destroy the Void Keeper by itself, but it is enough to weaken the beast. Hit him with the proton bombs. There we go. That was a proton bomb.
Void.
You're not much of a pilot, are you? Am I supposed to take that seriously?
Awaiting orders.
And with a little bit of cheese manually piloting, I do manage to slip the Victory 2 in the engine wake of the ISD-2 out of its arcs of its primary anti-capital armament, and let my turrets finish the deed. This engine's is about to go out.
Void Keeper.
Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh,
Something
uh-oh,
hit us.
uh-oh, uh-oh.
Serious damage.
TIE bomber.
Other engine's out.
Awaiting orders.
Void Keeper.
Awaiting orders.
Awaiting orders.
With the Void Keeper out of the way, we have managed to achieve
Research
our
facility.
first really huge milestone, the Player HQ. The Player HQ is an element of X4 itself and provides various player-specific functions like research and access to the new diplomacy and espionage system from X4's big 2025 content update. In SWI, upon securing it, we're given the one-time only ability to teleport into a desired position, so I move it to Kuat. And with this, we can research larger teleportation range, the ability to use EMP bombs to steal station modules, and that last one is extremely important, as it allows me to steal some really expensive station modules for basically free. The most fun research, however, is the ability to research XXL supercapitals like the Praetor, the Bellator, and both a prototype and the final production version of the Executor Super Star Destroyer. You may remember that one as the big triangle from episode 6, which gets disabled by an A-wing and then just kind of falls into the Death Star and explodes. Fortunately, since this is a video game, we don't have to worry about that happening. Probably. From here on, our growing trade empire can move into Phase 2.
Spacesuit EMP.
After stealing all the relevant station modules we need, we can start construction of our 3 different stations: a refinery for raw resources, an intermediate products factory for intermediate products, and an end products factory for various ship and station building wares like missile components, shield components, turret components, and so on. With these wares, we can finally create a fully self-sufficient economy to feed my wharf, which will be expanded into a shipyard for large ships, and then eventually both extra large and extra large ships. With a wharf in hand, and with the galaxy at war, we can also start thinking about increasing our profits. After purchasing a variety of small and medium ship blueprints from Kuat, the CSA, the ICG, and the NRL, commissioning of these ships from our wharf becomes a possibility. leading to us cranking out X-Wings, A-Wings, B-Wings, and various other ships constantly to feed the various war machines raging around us. Naturally, this is a substantial source of additional income. And then by expanding our shipyard into large ship production, we can create various haulers, large mining ships, and military ships like the Nebula B and the Pelta class. Furthermore, because of galactic taxes and maintenance, my expanding empire starts to rack up a little bit of a bill every 30 minutes of game time. This system is currently a bit inconsequential at the moment, but it will become increasingly concerning as my fleet and assets expand. To combat this, I also turned my PHQ into an equipment dock and create a factory in Balmora for ship supplies and the various necessary products to make those ship supplies. Those ship supplies are fed into the equipment dock, and every 30 minutes they can be deducted instead of charging credits. Now, if we were to claim ownership over systems, each one has an inherent supply value that it provides to offset some of the maintenance costs. Unfortunately, since we're just a humble trader from Kuat system, we're not exactly looking to own systems anytime soon. Now, on the side of things, a single Quasar 2 and a Victory 2 do not a good fleet make. And for what we have planned for Phase 3, we're going to need something a little bit more substantial. So we start researching the XXL shipyard and eventually the Proto Executor. This fleet is going to need a real, proper flagship. And an Executor sounds like a really good idea to me. In addition to our fleet expansion, we also can look at the diplomacy and espionage system, which I'm using for the first time since I hadn't played X4 since the update came out. The initial results are less than encouraging, at least at the start. Many agents lose their lives for this intelligence until I start to really get a better grasp of the system. Apparently, it really all comes down to bribery. Doesn't it always? My agents have a simple mission. They need to create diplomatic incidents between the NRL and their neighbors to create additional wars for the NRL to fight and be pressured by. And as we grow and acquire ships like the ISD-1, MC-75, and the MC-80, which is effectively the home one, alongside our flagship of the Proto Executor, our agents are out stealing designs for more exclusive and high-end fighter craft from Imperial design libraries. On the diplomatic side of things, our agents are stoking fires between the NRL and the CSA and the ICG, turning diplomatic incidents into full-blown war. With the NRL effectively fighting every single major faction at this point and struggling to stem the Mandalorian tide, the conditions for Phase 3 are now right. Also, the war is pretty good for profit since I can sell to the ICG, CSA, and NRL simultaneously. Now, the writing was probably on the wall here at this point, but let me lay out our future plans. Quad and the two dead-end connecting systems of Balmora and Nemoidia are and should be considered the sole property of Quad. For too long, Kuat Drive Yards have been kicked around and governed by various core worlds governments with their short-lived and war-torn regimes. This impressive war fleet isn't just a war fleet, it is a revolutionary force of independence comprised of various Imperial and Mon Calamari ship designs, filled with X-Wings, B-Wings, and a variety of models of TIE fighters and bombers. Sometimes the fate of a traitor is to become a revolutionary. This will be an all-or-nothing assault. If we should fail, we can, at best, maybe escape to a far-off system outside of NRL jurisdiction, like Camino, and become exiled freedom fighters or something. Our agent is sent to declare our just war of independence against the NRL, and the flagship begins its desolation of the NRL defense platform, annihilating the juicy administrative center at its core, which lays claim to our Kuat system. Meanwhile, on the system of Balmora, the MC-80 and its support fleet tackle the New Republic patrol fleet, dispatching it with extreme ease. From here on, it's really just cleanup and holding the gates.
MC-80 command cruiser.
Shortly after the initial declaration of war, the NRL do send a fairly sizable MC-80 fleet after me, but they get intercepted by an ISD in my defense station.
Just asking for it.
I take direct control of the ISD and engage the MC-80 with the intent to destroy it and purge it from the Kuat system. This also happened to be the one ship battle that I actually was directly involved in during the takeover. The rest were sort of off-screen, handled by the AI.
Awaiting orders.
As my ISDs move into firing range, their fighter complement and the station fighter complement engage the X-Wings in order to soften up their small ship defenses to allow for bomber runs.
Fighter Vanguard.
Awaiting orders.
Hybrid.
Let's finish this. Nice. Quick.
We're taking hits.
With the X-Wings dispatched, it's a good time to send out the various bombers, mostly TIE Scimitars and the occasional B-Wing.
Report. Awaiting orders.
Awaiting orders.
The TIE Scimitar is a heavier bomber than the normal TIE bomber, sporting extra proton torpedo tubes. It was a design that my agent stole from the Empire, and that I'm going to be using to great effect against this MC-80.
Get spiced. No, please, no. Take your last breath.
Awaiting orders.
In the nature of Star Wars, fighters and bombers are really the way to go. Capitals are very strong, but any swarm of sufficiently powerful bombers, proton torpedoes, and proton bombs can easily dispatch even a large XL carrier like this. The New Republic's Home 1 flagship fleet, with its full complement of X-Wings and various bombers, can easily kill an Executor. But luckily for me, this is a pretty small MC-80 fleet.
You're pathetic.
We were hit. Backup.
Our Proto-Executor moves from station to station, annihilating them with its substantial batteries of anti-capital turbo lasers. Meanwhile, in an effort to prevent any capital ship losses, NRL stations lacking any defensive armament are assigned to the rest of the ships in my fleet, who are not already assigned to protect the entryways into Kuat. Because the Executor, even the Proto-Executor, has such a substantial shield, it is able to withstand the anti-capital batteries on stations. And because it has such long-range weapons and so many of them, it's an ideal station buster.
The mission was a complete
Meanwhile,
success.
my MC-80 and the various other capital ships in my fleet
Stop
are
your
more than
attack
capable of
immediately.
taking on lightly defended
something out.
stations. Unfortunately, due to both forgetfulness and ignorance on my part, several mining ships from my ship supplies factory end up deep in NRL territory trying to mine resources that they would have normally
Refined
gotten in
goods
Balmora
complex.
had I given them the proper orders to do so. Oopsie daisy. But with 3 systems gradually cleansed of the NRL, we also finished research and construction of the full production Executor, which bears even more turrets than the already turret-laden prototype Executor. Now that we're decoupled from the NRL, we need to set about improving our relations with the Galactic Empire, the Ascendancy, and the CSA and ICG, which will allow us to continuously produce ships for all of those factions, which is going to require continuous effort from all of our agents. And since Kuat Drive Yards itself, now technically under my purview, also continues to manufacture ships for the NRL when it has sufficient resources to do so, this leads to some rather amusing and annoying continuous conflicts within Kuat itself. Because the Kuat Wharf especially continuously is producing X-Wings, the local TIE Fighter swarms are constantly engaged with them. But is a now newly independent Kuat really satisfied with a mere 3 systems and a lifetime of just producing ships for other people? Now that we have this power, what are we going to do with it? What of the fate of Camino, which has been starved and locked in a single system by the ICG? What about the rumors of a large flagship over to the west? And finally, tales of a dark shadow looming somewhere hidden in the northeast. So for the moment, this acts as a good endpoint for the first start of the Kuat story. From here, right now what I'm waiting for is the Dreadnoughts and Battlecruisers submod of SWI to be updated. Star Wars Interworlds Vanilla only offers a small number of XXL ships, like the Executor and the Bellator that you briefly saw. As its name implies, Dreadnoughts and Battlecruisers adds a plethora of very large and notable ships in Star Wars canon and the extended universe. This provides both myself and the NPC factions with a variety of extremely large and powerful ships, like the Sundari, the Annihilator, the Mandators, the Lusankya Star Dreadnought, and even the Eclipse Super Star Destroyer. It also adds the Golan 4 Defense Station, which is an extremely large and capable defense station that each major faction gets access to in their home territory to make it just that little bit harder to kill them. So for my personal fun factor, any continuation of this story is going to be predicated on that release. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to the next time. I have other ideas for X4 content that I'm looking to explore in the future with the release of DABC and subsequently the Heroes and Legends mod, and so if you're interested in that, you know what to do.
You're just